Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us at the market site in Times Square, New York City, we have Indré Rockefeller. She's a co-founder of Paravel. We're going to talk about sustainability in the travel industry and how to lower carbon emissions within the industry. It's great to have you with us, Indré. Thanks for joining us. And travel sector accounts for 8% of global carbon emissions, but we're a very global society now, and is it unavoidable?
Right. Well, it is, we're all travelers, everyone is traveling in the world, but there are really great choices that people can be making to reduce their carbon emissions. And I think that's one of the exciting things about all the awareness that's happening in the space.
It certainly is, and 87% of global travelers, they want to travel sustainable. Is it realistically possible? And then tell us what you've done on a personal level.
Sure. So I think it's absolutely possible for everyone to travel more sustainably. I think that really is a matter of making better choices, and that can be made on the business front or on the personal front. When you think of what businesses can do, for example, you have opportunities to be transparent and have conversations with your consumers. I see businesses that sort of try to not address the issue, and I think all of us should be accountable to our customers and share with them our process, even if it's not perfect, even if it's a work in progress. I think there's an opportunity for businesses and individuals to make better choices. As a company at Paravel, we've really focused on our supply chain, for example, and we redid our whole supply chain. That was something that was hard for us to do as a young company, as a fast-growing company, but we paused and did that because that was important to us, and we started making using material that was sustainable and made out of recycled plastic water bottles. In fact, we've actually just calculated that since the end of October, when we launched our sustainability initiative, we have recycled 1.3 million plastic water bottles just in making our materials. And I think also having a code of social responsibility is really important for businesses.
I'm glad that you brought up the point that it does take time and you do have to be patient as an investor and also as a business owner. ESG is a relatively newer category, and you can't just flip the switch overnight. There's a lot of things that need to happen on the environmental front, like you do at Paravel, even on governance, as you had mentioned about the code of sustainability. That's encouraging to hear you express that on patience, but on a personal level, you have a really interesting story that got you into it. Tell us about that.
Yes, so I had the crazy opportunity to travel to Antarctica in 2018. So I was on a polar expedition, and it was one of the most magical and transformative trips that I've been on. I just remember looking around and there being no tangible human footprint, and yet there are all these intangible effects that humans are having on this pristine space. It was like being on the moon, it was the most moving experience for me. And as soon as we docked back in Argentina after this trip, I called my co-founder and we started working on making Paravel sustainable that day, because the key message from the scientists on board this polar expedition that I was on with the Nature Conservancy was that the next 10 years are the most important to the next 10,000 when it comes to climate change. And for us, that was a real call to action and something that the whole team got excited about.
That is pretty amazing. Is it a different kind of cold than you've ever experienced?
Today's pretty cold in New York. You get so bundled up there and you're sort of in a different state of mind. So it is a different type of cold, but I also took the polar plunge, which is when you jump into the water, which I don't know, looking back, I don't really know what I was thinking, but at the time it was magical. And
it's interesting, I've taken a look at the product on the site, and I think it's beautiful. And I think sometimes when people think of organic and they think of sustainable, that it's super expensive. I thought the price points were very reasonable, so it doesn't have to be an expensive thing to think globally and think with a sustainable mindset.
That's right. That was something that was really important to us, to maintain price points that were accessible. And we wanted to make sure that we were offering our customers better choices so they wouldn't have to give up something else. So it wasn't a perception that I have to choose sustainability over something else. For us, it was about quality, it was about design, it was about price, and adding that sustainable element as a fourth pillar to the company's
and to follow up here, let's go back to where you were talking, revising your supply chain.
Yes.
That had to have been probably one of the most challenging things that you've done with the business, because you completely have to change the way the company functions.
Yes, and that is something that at first was a really daunting experience, and also just sustainability in itself. That word means so much to so many people, and it can be overwhelming to the consumer as well as to business owners. And so for us, we really wanted to focus on the environmental impact. There's the people element, there's the environment element, there is the animal element. So we really wanted to focus on that, and for us that really galvanized the team, and people really got excited, and it was something that was hard, but we never looked back.
All right, well, thanks for all the great work that you're doing. Thanks for joining us at MarketSite. And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.